Welcome back to the fifth and final match. I would welcome you back to NACL, but apparently right now it's just TTKCL is what we're renaming the league to at the moment because it's all TTK right now. But CJ, let's get Nokturns in there. Let's give them a little bit of a spotlight right before we jump right back into TTK.
Nokturns. I'm so excited, Brim. So excited because we get the P versus the B, the baby right now. I mean, it's gonna be great. You know what? I also want to say it's like a battle of two teams. No one dreamed of being this good. They're both in the top 4 right now. They're both looking to take the league by storm. One shot's on a downfall. They didn't get a point this weekend. And both of these teams, the winner of this matchup, could come out leading the league. And you know what? Zeno is a part of it for Nocturnes. The guy's incredible. The guy's sleeper. He's sleeper nasty. His stats aren't that great. I mean, he's only +9. He doesn't have Dexter entry numbers, but he's good like that. He's nasty with it. Trust.
Well, this is a team that we've seen win by committee. They're not the ones to, have someone just carry them to victory. Tanner, but TTK, same thing. Look at that last game. That whole team showed up.
I mean, we don't have to really talk too much about TTK. You just saw it. Absolute stellar performance. They put up an absolute monster game last game versus One Shot. If you didn't catch it, you should go back and watch it because they made One Shot one of the top teams in the league look kind of silly, especially in the first 2 rounds. And I really wanted to point out Trist. I know he's not having the most stellar season, but last game specifically, he was an absolute pivotal player. He was putting up monster numbers on the entry department. He was getting really good frags and lucky frags, and then he was clutching up rounds that his team needed. Absolutely a massive impact player. And despite what Cookie said yesterday, I think Trist is a standout player. I think he should have a good day today.
What? He was mid all the way up till yesterday.
You just didn't see the potential, bud. You need to figure it out.
I think you need to review your analytical work on these players, Cookies.
It's in the mathematics. It's in the numbers. You guys see them.
Yeah, stats don't matter without context.
You guys saw the numbers.
I don't even. No.
Here's what's important. We realized that you were no good at reviewing TookTheKids, so we had you review Nokturns instead.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Or preview. I guess preview would be the appropriate term here.
Mm.
Okay, y'all done? Show me my critical points. Okay, first thing, Lackey is just, listen, Lackey also, no one in this lobby has crazy numbers like that, but Lackey had a game on the light machine gun yesterday, and that's kind of perfect for a guy like that. Lackey, I bet you Lackey hates the game, right? Lackey wants to go on vacation. He got pulled out of his vacation at Waikiki. He was sipping a pineapple. And he got to come back, and they're like, all right, Lackey, we need you. And all he has to do is hold the LMG and pop Finkas, right? Mm-hmm. It's not too hard to, and obviously kind of on defense, there's more strategy involved there, but it's it's not that hard to implement him in and him have success and have impact. And yes, we just watched TTK, as you said, Forceful. We just watched them because they just played. And they're warmed up, and they have egos right now. Mr. B's feeling himself. So if you're Nocturnes, how are you going to handle a team that's hot? The pan is hot. You touch that pan, your skin's going to burn off your fingers. How is Nocturnes going to handle that coming in cold? This is the last game of the day. They're probably tired. They probably want to go to sleep, but they got to play Mr. Biblical right now.
But they've been sitting and waiting.
They probably had a really healthy warm-up scrim. And if they couldn't find a scrim, they probably had their 20-man coaching staff warm them up for them, in their own little mini custom game. I think Nocturnes are going to be fine. But that being said, going over to my critical points, so TookTheKids, this is a clash of the Titan IGLs. We keep hyping up, Papa P and Mr. Biblical over here, and they've been performing and they've been doing great, but we haven't really seen them clash this stage at all. And this is going to be our first taste of it. We're going to be able to see the adaptations, the entry plays, the little dynamic, okay, we're going to pump fake here and we're going to go hit you in the back. This is where I expect to see the big chess game coming out from both of these teams, because both of these IGLs have demonstrated to us throughout this stage that they are on another level relative to this Challenger League, and that they're putting up these really intelligent plays and making really smart decisions, and their teams just look so coordinated. I mean, that's how they're winning by committee. Everybody is doing their job, just like Mr. B said. And then the second thing, you just won. Keep that momentum up, reset. It's a new game every game. Don't let the last game versus One Shot and their 10 season habits impact you. Just play your game, and that's all TTK have to do, because right now they look hot. They look so hot.
Okay, now that we do the map ban, Tanner, I've asked a lot of you today, and I'm going to ask one more thing of you, and that's to sit tight while Cookie runs us through the map ban.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, smooth, man. Yep. Villa ban from Nocturns. That's one of the first maps I was introduced to the religion of Mr. B. Yeah, IGL is quite a villa, let me tell you. And that goes back to the T3 days. Skyscraper banned out by Mr. B's team. Nocturns, it hasn't really played it like on the actual stream. They played it like off stream last stage. So maybe there's some motivation there. Border being the last ban from Nocturns, another map where I was ready to see it. I was ready to see these two square off on Border because it would have been nothing short of pandemonium. But the next best thing is a Kafe, honestly. And this is historically because Nocturns hasn't played a billion games of Kafe lately, but I would say this map is neutral for both, unless Tanner, as the intelligent being in this call,
speak for yourself, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you're on about.
I'm speaking for everybody up here, Rib.
I'm looking forward to Kafe. Kafe is a map that requires a lot of good strategic teamwork. It's a map that in ranked is typically very chaotic. There's like a lot of contesting of entry points. But when you have a cohesive unit, which both of these teams do, you see really solid attacks. It's turned into a kind of an attacker-sided map because a lot of the defender positions kind of require you to turret up, allowing you to get grenaded or like pinned down by machine gun. And it's just a very fast gameplay. I'm looking forward to some really dynamic roams, especially on the kitchen defense site, and some really crazy rushes again on kitchen defense. I think this is a map that both these teams are very well versed in. They've both demonstrated they would like to go to this map, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm here for this.
Okay, I'm interested most of all to see these predictions because this matchup is going to be really interesting. This might have been one of the hardest decisions I had to make prediction-wise myself, and you'll be happy to know I actually did make this decision myself. I didn't copy-paste Tanner's or CJ's notes. I actually thought for myself for once. But Cookies, I'll go to you first. TTK, I might be asking the obvious here, but why them?
One, they're hot right now, of course. Okay. That's obvious. But the second thing is I'm actually going to get really technical on y'all. Nocturnes is attacking first, and Nocturnes almost always bans Azami out. Seems like they're not really embracing the new Azami meta. It's one of the more common bans 4 out of the 5 games they played. Okay. So they're going to have to start hot against a team that's already hot, and that seems very unlikely. Therefore, I believe Mr. B is going to start out strong on defense and close this thing out with 6 points on the day.
Tanner, any final thoughts for yourself?
I mean, I just like how everyone's showing up. Like we talked about, I know I joked about it early on, how Trist hasn't been performing beforehand, and just today he's showing up. And sometimes that's how best of ones are. It's like who shows up on what given day. Right now, TookTheKids have everyone showing up. They're hot hand that just beat a really top tier level team. That's why I have them going. But like the predictions show right now, like it could go either way. Like Mr. P is really solid. They've got Zeno. They've got a lot of really solid gunners. Even Lackey, who came out of his retirement home to come back and show the boys how to do it one more time. He's even showing up in a massive way, and I gotta appreciate that about this roster. And I'm just looking forward to a good game of Siege. Like this is going to be good, regardless if I'm right or wrong. This will be a fantastic game.
Okay, well, I'll have you know this: TTK and the boys put up such a fight last game. They are still out of breath. They need another 5 minutes to catch their breath before going into this one. So we're gonna flip to that quick break, and we'll have the casters rejoin you right after.
What's up, everyone? Wow, I completely fumbled that. What's up, everyone? We're back, and we're getting ready to head into Kafe between Nocturns and TTK. I mean, like Brimstone said, hardest decision I've ever made in my entire life, choosing between Poison and Mr. B. I mean, it's a clash of the Titans. It's a clash of gods. I don't know. I just went with my gut. I just went with TTK.
Yeah, there's some pretty big repercussions on the line, at least for us in the talent pool, because if Nocturnes win and us voting against them, we might have Slothy or Zeno post a tweet on Twitter about it, and that's not good. That hurts my soul. Great guys, though, just messing around. For TTK, I mean, they still just keep the hot streak going. And altogether, both these teams play very close to one another, especially with how they've played recently. Last game, TTK, everyone's firing on all cylinders. They all played really well together. And then in Nocturne's game against Rent Free on Bank, everyone did their role. Lackey had a star-studded performance, so the rest of his team, like I had mentioned, and the entry of Gavin did really well yesterday against Aerial Arise. Interesting ban so far, but for Kafe, it's not all that shocking. The Nomad is gone. She can really deny that roam game quite effectively, especially when they try to retake up above.
Actually, John, I just thought of something.
Yes?
I think TTK is going to win because Nocturnes are a very good counter-stratting team. When they have stuff to review, when they have stuff to go off of, like preparing for Rent Free on Bank, right? Because Rent Free didn't really change a whole lot. They were pretty much doing the exact same thing they do. I mean, we saw, Dexter and Filthy on this exact same duo room like 4 times during that game. TookTheKids are a better reactive team. And Nocturnes doesn't have any VODs of Kafe for TookTheKids. So, in my mind, TTK just has the edge. Just like that.
Unless they have the off-stream VOD of when TookTheKids played this against Luminosity, then yeah, you're right. They really have no bookwork to go off it. But although Nocturnes can utilize all the information quite well if they have it on hand, it's not a full-fledged necessity. I know they talked about that a little bit during the interview yesterday. So again, this game is going to really be a toss-up because both these teams play so similarly. It's going to be a clash of titans like we foreshadowed in the desk moments ago. Double Kitchen up on the drawing board first and foremost here for TTK. Their lineup overall looks pretty darn normal. They still want to have that emphasis on the roam game, and this pretty much is the exact same setup I actually saw them play on their off-stream game versus Luminosity, so it makes sense they bring it out here today.
And not only a clash of titans between Mr. B and Poison, but also a clash of ex-teammates. Do you remember Chess Club?
I do.
Doc and Mr. B were on that team.
Yeah.
They won that NSG tournament.
That was their one claim to fame. Because after that, they just sucked.
Yeah, it was a little unfortunate. But excited to see this game go down. Mr. B has put himself on Jaeger. Very excited about that. Sledge opening the hatch, C4 to follow, but it's shot out of the air by Poison. By Kalkig. What a shot from the IGL of Nocturnes to perhaps save his teammate an early death.
TTK, actually, I mentioned their general setup being the same the last time they played this map against Luminosity. They're actually playing a lot more aggressive on this top floor, maybe expecting Nocturnes to go for that full-fledged default clear. TTK, they want to waste as much time as possible to make sure Nocturnes cannot comfortably set up, especially if they can get that vertical down. Having both Doc and Lackey on the Zofia and Sledge combination, it can really do a lot of damage to weaken that site presence and also have a lot of stack-up potential once that diffuser goes down. So the longer they can hold these top floor positions, the better off they'll be.
What the hell just happened? Triss just ran out the front door and almost killed Lackey, but the hole into prep Zeno. What an angle. Gets the first frag of this game onto Triss with an angle like that. And if that's foreshadowing things to come, I cannot wait for the rest of this game. Mr. B gets droned out in reading. Gavin, who had previously eaten a couple bullets, is hiding inside a fireplace in dining, watching that fireplace. Mr. B, now there's going to be soft destruction right above him. He sprints out just past Zeno, and he gets the kill. He re-peeks, down goes the Twitch. It seemed like Nocturns, even after droning him, weren't quite aware. Poison eats damage as well, but allows Gavin to rotate back. Packer comes up for the assist. Crossfires Doc. Mr. B still upstairs, gets another on Lackey, and this roam clear, although it netted an initial kill, has fallen apart.
Because of the fact that there was just a major lack of information, the offense had no idea there were still 2 roamers up above. Poison finds 1 kill, almost nets a second, but just looks away from that double door position. Slothy will cut one down, trying to close the gap, but Packer has the better gun in that position. 1 versus 2 now for Slothy. He has little to no information at this point. He has to just Hail Mary down the hatch.
Oh, wow. And Packer one pumps him. Wow. 3 kills for Packer on the round, coming up brown stairs to assist his team on the roam and finishing the last 2 with the shotgun, really showing, as CJ likes to say, a plethora of athleticism. Beautiful round from TTK. It started to get close towards the end there in the 2 versus 2, but like you said, Packer just had a better gun for that engagement. But starting off with that roam clear, the angle from Zeno works out for 1 kill, yes, but the roam as a whole, even though Nocturns seemed to have a beat on Mr. B, were unable to capitalize. He sprints out of reading. And then I think Zeno was looking down white, so he didn't see, even though they had previously droned him there. So Mr. B gets a freebie. Gavin, I think Gavin followed it up. No, not Gavin. Packer, that was when Packer came up for the assist. Mr. B got a second kill upstairs. And then Packer just finished the round. I mean, they should have had Mr. B. They droned him. And somehow, it must have been some kind of miscomm.
They also didn't have the hatch opened up, so they did have to fight him directly. And they weren't in fighting shape to do that because of Packer's great position. Wow. Okay, Mr. B. Barely survives that engagement, but Lackey is gone. That is a huge operator off the board, at least in terms of maybe trying to break some of those shields altogether because you have a severe lack of grenades. Doc only having those frags in his pocket on the sledge. But overall, still losing out on a major fragger altogether. Lackey was very consistent on that entry game when playing against Rent Free on Bank, so already losing such a valuable asset is going to go a very long way for TTK in the second round.
And it's not just the shields, right? It's the shield, the bulletproof cam from Mr. B, the Banshees from Packer, the Evil Eyes from Trist. There's so much indestructible. Well, not indestructible. I always say indestructible. There's so much bulletproof utility from TookTheKids that 1 set of nades and 1 Gone 6 from the Lion isn't going to be enough to fully clear it. So Mr. B, a tremendous first pick on the Lackey. Maybe Nocturns can amend some of that with the Capital pick, get some smokes down and punch their way through a shield, use those fire arrows to take out a position rather than have to use nades. But either way, that's going to be a risk, and a risk that they wouldn't have had to take had they had the Zofia. Slothy, the next to eat a ton of damage outside the snow door, I think thanks to Packer, who now retreats down Brown. And this initial clear, once again, not starting off how Nocturns would have liked.
And with a lack of major flank watch, seems like Nocturns has to take the initiative to deal with Packer. He's just waiting with great patience. That was your case player as well. Doc not being too far away, he could recover that as he does refrag onto Packer, but so far, that does not seem to be the main plan. Nocturns, they just want to go guns up in this final minute 10.
Skeleton key from Zeno from down below does get the equalizer on Gavin, so there is that. Mr. B and Slothy both very lit up, just about even HP, if not for Zeno at half. He is searching desperately for Trist, who's hiding in Cocktail, evading the skeleton key, at least for now. Sub 1 minute for Nocturnes to get this push together, as they have since reclaimed the case. The only problem that they're going up against a Maestro with Evil Eyes, Woos with Impacts, and Slothy, the man with that diffuser, is very low on HP. They're going to try and take that fight against the man in Piano, but Doc misses the shots. Up from White is Zeno. Lands the headshot on Mr. B. Now the Maestro has to turn his attention over towards White Stairs as Zeno gets a third. Trist, it's all on him in a 1 versus 3. He gets one, turns his back, gets away just in time, and repositions. We nearly see Zeno. He gets the head, but no, can't land it. A quad kill for the Buck to save the round.
And although I did say before handing it off to you, Harrison, that Nocturnes, they wanted to go gun up, they actually took a quick little breath before fully diving in, we still saw that vertical being established via the skeleton key. That weakened a lot of general positions over near cocktail bar itself, and it did allow a little bit better isolation for Nocturns altogether to eventually allow them to step up on that top floor and secure a couple of vital kills. But from the very get-go, things looked very risky for Nocturns altogether. It seems like their info game has already been rather weak, and if they just weren't in a better spot outright to win those head-to-head engagements, that still could have been a round for TTK. Again, we look at the entry kill by Mr. B, the offense just having no idea he was going for a spawn peek, and then Packer as well, killing the case player. If he had information that Doc was trying to push him near coat check doorway, he might have flicked, shut down the sledge, and that could have been full-fledged case control out in the most vulnerable spot possible if he still had that reception position.
That was Xeno stepping up, 4 kills. And now TookTheKids, they try reading. They are not repeating any of these sites. Mr. B now off the Jaeger on the castle to help set up upstairs and create this labyrinth for Nocturnes to try and work themselves through. Of course, you have the mute set up in Cigar, thanks to that castle barricade, but not a whole lot protecting it. Maybe just woos on that Wamai? Where is he? Yeah, he's in bathroom. So it's gonna be Wooz's job to cover that with his discs. Gavin inside piano itself as the Oryx, and look, the kids are putting a lot of stock in this top floor hold.
Well, actually, Woo's dash, but it's whatever. Oh, this time by Packer. That's unfortunate. Trying to go for the exact same. Yeah, it is your bad, Harrison. But also, Packer's bad, unfortunately, for expecting Doc to immediately open up that hatch. But because we saw that C4 play earlier, maybe he wanted to wait a few extra seconds, and it paid off because he is still alive. Packer, I believe, maybe hearing, those drones dropping down, expecting a fall through sooner rather than later. He'll begin to reposition, evading some of those flash grenades and just burning through more utility as Nocturnes. They still need to clear this position just close to Humidor, but it's still a readjustment altogether.
Did you see that?
I don't think I did.
That drone went past the Oryx. I think it misdroned him, but they re-drone it. It costs 2 drones, but they do spot out Gavin's position, so no freebie for the Oryx, but he shoots back at Poison, threads the needle. Xeno with the refrag. Packer quick to swing around and make sure his team still has the advantage. What a shot from Gavin, and sure, he may be traded out, but what a cost for Nocturnes. They lose their Flores against a castle setup with, again, only those nades. If they want to take those out from a range, they're not going to be able to. And this sledge, nearly the victim of the shotgun. A Packer can't flick fast enough, and we're back to even.
1 minute left to go. Nocturne still trying to set up. Lackey now moving down in the bottom floor to maybe work his way up white stairs. At the very least, hold a pretty important spot of the map to make sure no one can directly challenge anyone. Trying to go for a defuse, but as of now, it seems like he'll try to close the gap even further and maybe try to get rid of Woos playing at the top of white. But that stair push-up, it's such a loud audio call, and all that Woos has to do is just sit back and wait for Lackey to make this first move.
38 seconds left. That first move is going to have to come soon as Slothy puts out his last of his track stingers, armed with another LMG. Up comes the Finka, gets the frag on Woos. Man advantage now in the favor of the attack. Trist hugging the corner. Seems to be unknown. Mr. B dead to Lackey, trying to come back from upstairs, and the plant is forfeit. No info for TookTheKids. Pre-fire not going to land, and Nocturnes take the lead.
And unfortunately, despite, again, Nocturnes assuming that the mute had given up that top floor spot, and although it was a man advantage for a brief moment there by TTK, the important parts of the map were still gathered by Nocturnes altogether, and they still had Lackey in that pristine condition to just work his way up and utilize that LMG pretty well, holding down M1. Although the Wamai was in a pretty good spot to maybe win that gunfight, the headshot needed to be landed because how damaging that LMG can be put in really any hands in this current meta. So once again, good readjustment in the final minute by Nocturnes. But again, at certain points, could have been a really close call for them altogether, but at least they are cleaning themselves up quite well for those final executes.
I mean, not just the fact that the LMG does a lot of damage, because of how much of a pea shooter the MP5K is. Like you said, he really needed to land that headshot, and he didn't. Also, I TookTheKids got a little bit over-aggressive in that round, like Packer. Just watching that angle with the shotgun. If you're going to do that, you got to land that shotgun blast. He was looking like Ozone for a sec there. No one wants to do that. The TTK will go back down to kitchen, the only site that they've won so far thanks to a fantastic roam from Mr. B, Gavin, and of course Packer coming upstairs for the assist. Now, though, Nocturnes should be ready for it. So we'll see how they handle it.
Be trying to go for something more direct, maybe? But it seems like that's not going to happen. You already have Nocturnes getting ready to hop in on the roof, get those same 2 hatches opened up with that sledge breaching hammer, and still try to challenge this head-on. TTK still playing on this roam position. Only Gavin, though, is on the top floor, and he might just opt to fall back, potentially, as he does have no backup as of right now. But still, just about a minute is burned off. There goes the rotation out by the offense, but so far it's been slowed down just a bit by TTK, but there has been at least one refrag by Zeno rocking that F2.
Yeah, they decided they were just going to waltz right into Bakery and take the fight. Trist wins 1, but cannot get away in time. So like you said, we're at a 4 versus 4. They do take out a C4. Slothy on the Maverick now opening that main Bakery wall. Still got Packer upstairs. Working the vert with the shotgun, making sure that if they try to get through prep, they're going to be met with an SMG-11 from above. Meanwhile, Doc works his way from the back in Restaurant in VIP. Going to take TookTheKids off guard. Mr. B is just chilling in the hallway. He and Doc could come to blows soon, but they're just playing Ring Around the Rosie. Doc goes up white, looking to hunt down Packer, but of course Packer is supported by Gavin. As the camera gets shot, those 2 defenders should be aware that someone's upstairs hunting them. Mr. B has made his way to Small Bake. There's 2 people just on the other side of this wall, but they're watching him. They had the drone, poison, and easy kill on the Jaeger, and his team has the man advantage once again.
Middle of eye swing, and there's someone in the middle of mining room. Doc is able to get rid of Gavini. Still one up above, but a beautiful spray down by Zeno. Woo's the only one left alive, and with 50 seconds to go, Nocturnes, it seems like they really have round 4 in the bag.
Great job piecing up that roam, first starting down below, getting that initial engagement. Especially that flank watch, too, on Mr. B. I thought he had a play there, but quite obviously eyes on him, and now Woo's getting shot in the back. He doesn't know what angle to look at. Zeno finishes him off, and Nocturnes take a 3-1 lead.
And off the back of a pretty strong position change altogether, Nocturnes, they realized how much is being invested into that top floor, so they were thinking, well, maybe we'll just go horizontal like I had hinted at earlier. They eventually just worked their way back down into the bottom floor. They tried entering into Bakery as quickly as possible. They did get entried on by Trist, but there was a swift refrag that did force TTK to try to change things up a little bit, and then they began to try to go back up above once again, because how important that verticality can still be put in the right hands. They swiftly deal with the roam game from every single corner, despite TookTheKids having full situational awareness and full information on that call being made. And also, the information, it was still there for Nocturnes altogether. They stopped Mr. B from hitting a nasty flank through Small Bake, and at that point, all they had to do was just clear out those last couple of roamers that were trapped because they weren't close enough to fall down the hatch, and then it was only Woos left in the site in a 1v4. Seems pretty winnable at that point, like I had mentioned during the round itself.
Yeah, Nocturnes have done a great job of picking apart TTK and ensuring that every time they, or most of the time that they get a kill, it's on an isolated player. And TTK are going to take that time out because they definitely need it. Mr. B's going to talk to the team, figure out what the hell is going on, because this is not the kind of dominance that we expected. I mean, a 3-1 lead is not, is not completely unwinnable, but still not the position that you want to be in if you're TookTheKids, fighting for first place right now. If they were to win this game, they would vault over rent-free, which is
yeah, a lot is on the
amazing.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Considering that, I think, what is it? Rent-free has 1 regulation loss, and TTK haven't lost in regulation yet. They've only had 2 overtime losses. So if they win here in regulation, they'll be up 17 points. They'll be up 1 point on rent-free. And that'd be huge for their standings going into the playoffs.
Really does all build up over time. Also sucks that Rent-Free, they are going to still have a very big uphill battle after this stage because they didn't play in stage 1. So if they want to still try to fight for that playoff contention, they'll have to really knock it out of the ballpark going into stage number 3. But we'll focus on the now. Timeout finally finished. Prep phase done as well. TTK opting to replay on that top floor. They had a very good early game, again utilizing the element of surprise. Mr. B finding an opening kill, and Packer still kind of ratting on the bottom floor, but things seem to have changed drastically. Nocturns have gotten a good read on how TTK have been liking to play on this map of Kafe, so they will try to just keep themselves pretty aware and vigilant throughout the round, and even bring out some new ops as well, like that gridlock and the Flores too, to try to break that utility much faster than we've seen beforehand.
The gridlock has been interesting. Typically on Kafe, we're used to seeing like the execute style gridlock, but she might be being brought out just as a substitute for the Nomad that's been banned away from them. And like the kids seem to be struggling to find a site that works, especially after they've lost 3 in a row. And Poison getting the leadoff kill onto Mr. B is not how you want to start after that timeout.
That is definitely screenshot material right there. IGL diff potentially going in on the Twitter post, but we'll have to wait and see if they can still win the match altogether. Nocturns, great entry like you had mentioned. Still taking their sweet seconds though, breaking through some of this valuable information gained. Their Terror Drone now destroying one of those many evil eyes across the map. And it seems like for Nocturns, they've got all the right pieces together, but will they expect Packer, who's still playing on that middle floor? That's probably the bigger question going in this next minute 20.
Fortunately for them, though, Packer doesn't have C4. So the only way he's going to be able to affect this attack is if he walks through those tracks or destroys them. And in doing so, Nocturns are definitely going to hear that. So it'll be tough for Packer to make an impact on this round, no pun intended, as he destroys a lot of those tracks. But unlucky for him, there is still another set in his way, and the set he just destroyed is going to be replaced. So kind of sucks if you're Packer. It's going to be tough to try and flank up. Nade gets sent in by the Nook. Not going to hit anything, though. And Nocturns are starting to pressure these defenders. There's the nade from Zeno. Finally, Trist goes down. It's a 5v3. Make it a 4v3. Make it a 4v2. A 4v1. As Zeno goes huge. Looking for the last one on Woos. He's stuck over towards pallets. And Nino threads the needle. 3 kills for the Nook.
Massive play, and I guess Poison potentially denying the ace from the very get-go of that round, as he was the only other person to find a kill in that round. But just the amount of methodical play style we saw by Nocturnes in that round was just absolutely huge. They really took their time setting up every single piece of that chessboard, essentially. They were able to find the opening kill, like we had mentioned a couple of times. They slowly got control of Piano. They denied the flank, so Packer had to try something completely new, trying to work his way back up above to stop anyone from pushing in past that pixel doorway, and it just wasn't enough. We saw that grenade spam due to how effective Nocturnes were able to destroy all the utility in the early game, so that left a lot of flashes and grenades left in their back pockets with about a minute left to go, and everything just slowly connected together. Nocturnes so far having a fantastic round or match altogether in this first half, and we talked about the reactiveness of TTK. It just seems like that has just become a non-factor at this point against NKG.
Yeah, especially Zeno in that last round getting, I think, 4 kills in total. Because he got the 3 with his gun heading into the site, and he had that nade kill on Trist beforehand. So, I mean, Zeno is, in 5 rounds, John, Zeno is 13-2.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just incredible. That is almost a 3.0 KPR.
Guy's got a point to prove this game.
Yeah, I mean,
Just,
it's exactly 2.6 if we want to get technical.
I think we'll leave it up to you, I suppose. But for now, at least for Zeno's sake, he's hoping to continue this onward tread. And same with Nocturnes altogether. They're doing quite well against CTK, having that 4-1 scoreline so far. Maybe even getting a 5-1 split, depending on how well this round goes altogether. For Nocturnes, they're opting to start out over near the garage side of the map. Maybe trying to get that back freezer wall position so they have an entryway into sight, and also trying to get control near Whiskey and VIP as well to also have that nice long line of sight and potentially another entryway into sight as well once they gather these last tidbits of information.
Able to grab the bulletproof cam with the Twitch drone. Good use of her utility from Zeno, the man, the myth, the legend, the highlight player right now. Lackey taking some initial damage before he runs back downstairs. Nade comes out to, Take out the Banshee. I was wondering why it hadn't blown up yet. So Nade goes out, destroys the Banshee on the double door. So a little less info now for TookTheKids. A whole minute and a half still to play with, and Nocturnes are in a pretty good position. All the walls are open. They're starting to set up. The only thing they really have to worry about is the presence upstairs that TookTheKids still has.
Yeah, you could still try to work the vertical play here for TTK and maybe stop that potential defuse from going down, but Poison just going to hop in through prep and try to work an opening kill, and he gets it with relative ease.
That was a lights-out kill from Poison, not even fully ADS. Lackey follows it up onto Trist. One more C4 from Packer, but he's upstairs. Domes Packer from below. Great shot by Lackey. Gavin coming back down, gets one. Dropping the hatch, the Malusi can do nothing, and Gavin, 2 is all he'll get. Lackey shuts him down, and Nocturnes take a 5-1 half.
And Poison as well, just planting in the least likely spot possible. It's not the most uncommon position, but didn't plant near Rice, didn't plant near anywhere towards the bomb chassis close to Sink. He was just in no man's land essentially, but because Nocturnes acknowledged there was still a heavy roam presence up above, they could hit the site and just flood with the numbers game. It worked out, no strings attached, and at that point, once they had the diffuser down, once everyone in sight was dead, they just had to watch for the retake, and TTK were scrambling to try to pick up the pieces. Once again, this game of puzzles and tactics along with tricks as well has been going quite well for Nocturnes. And it seems like in this neutral map position, Nocturnes, they are really just taking the money and just running with it against TTK as they only found success on that first round.
I mean, I was going to say, TookTheKids really needed that round. Not just to stay in the game and not go down 5-1, but as a confidence booster. The only round they won was round 1. Was the beginning of this game, and they've lost 5 in a row. And I mean, that's rough. When you're on a losing streak like that, that's a big blow to the mental. And TookTheKids, they're going to be heading now on to the second half without winning a round in the last 5. So we'll see if they can piece it together on this attack. Maybe this is just a really attacker-sided Kafe.
Fingers crossed for TTK that is true. At least you've got Gavini now on the Finka, so that could be pretty darn effective. Same thing with Trist. Both these players not having as good of a performance, as what we saw in their game against One Shot on Chalet. But again, they still have a couple rounds to maybe change that. Perhaps Poison, though, a 3rd entry in a row. Trist already relegated back to camera duty. He's not going to do a single thing on that Zofia. He's already gone in the first 45 seconds.
And Forceful was hyping Trist up so much, saying how impactful he's been for this team, especially in that previous game. But right here, right now, against Nocturnes on Kafe, he has just not been able to get anything going. Nocturnes have shut down a lot of this early game from TookTheKids. I mean, last 3 rounds in a row, they had the entry pick along with that entry pick in round number 1. Looking like they did against Rent Free, being able to really take that entry game. And even when TookTheKids does get the opening frag, it's usually very swiftly traded out.
Yeah, altogether, Nocturnes just perfectly denying TTK of finding any success across the board and still having a great foothold in this roam extension as well. Nitrocell gets tossed on out, not going to connect onto a single soul. At least Gavini's LMG finds something for TTK altogether, but again, that roam presence only now as it began to fully fall back. The only person still up above is Doc, and he's maybe trying to find a little more damage before he eventually commits back down below.
Bit of a standstill now for TookTheKids. Looking for some kind of opening. Here comes the Malusi. There's someone just around the corner and spots him just in time. Packer, I think he was on a drone. Doc puts him down. And now that's the man advantage for Nocturnes. That is not what you want if you're TookTheKids. Packer had no support. He was just alone on an island on a drone. And another! As Woos gets spotted through the wall. 0-7. The Iana goes down. Gavin's next to the shotgun. And Mr. B, he's got a clutch of 1 versus 4. And Lackey will put an end to any sort of attempt he could have mustered. 6-1 for Nocturnes.
And the problem that we saw in particular in round 1 and 2 by Nocturnes against TTK, that has now revealed itself as well for TTK. They just had no idea. Doc walked back up above. He killed Packer on the top floor, and because he still had all those hatches that were opened up for the fallback in the early round, he could reutilize them in the end game to be a constant mobile tank and just crush apart TTK. Already looking down the gun barrel of match point. It's been 6 rounds in a row for Nocturns, and it really doesn't feel like this pain train is slowing down anytime soon. I mean, we're going to Mining Room, Harrison, which is relatively attacker favored, but really just nothing has clicked at all for TTK since round 1.
Now, it has been extremely rough for TookTheKids, and off a team that was so hot in the previous game. They looked fantastic. I mean, Mr. B was looking good. He was confident heading into this game. But, I mean, hey, maybe I was wrong. Maybe Nocturns, maybe that one off-stream VOD is enough for Nocturns to fully counter-strat TookTheKids and utterly dominate. TookTheKids needs 5 rounds in a row if they want any hope of winning this.
And they're already having
point,
battles outside. That's
yeah, I mean, at this point, even if they do win this, they won't take first.
Yeah, already having at least 1 point guaranteed for Nocturnes altogether. Probably going to get all 3 unless TTK just play their best game of Siege, but we might have already seen that earlier today. Really seems like they have ran out of fuel against Nocturnes, and they are just fully capitalizing because of that. TTK still trying to get themselves put in the right places in that roof to eventually try to maybe get that vertical down, but Nocturnes, they still seem pretty darn comfortable on this top floor and just trying to reposition as to now hearing all those audio calls of the barricades being opened up and the drones now being sent out by TTK as well, as a minute has finally been diminished.
Terror drones now coming in, scoping out, seeing if there's any utility at all for it to destroy, but no, the Rotero drone just kind of lands in the middle of nowhere, so a bit of a useless one from Trist. I mean, at least they get the info, but might be missing that Rotero drone later in the round, although TookTheKids does have a lot of redundancy in terms of those nades. Woos will finally drop into the building. Hacker is watching Freezer intently, daring Slothy to expose his head. A nade goes out towards the white stairs, but it's Slothy with the opening pick onto Gavin. Again, a poor start for TTK. They will get the trade. That's going to be Woo's first kill of the match. Comes in on round 8, but is it going to be enough for TookTheKids to finally put something together?
Doesn't seem like it, but at least something is better than nothing, I suppose. The roam game finally gone, and you can go for vertical. A nitro cell prepped, and boom goes the dynamite. Packer will fall. Great timing, once again, by Mr. P, the main IGL, and Nocturnes, they'll retake that advantage. 50 seconds left to go now.
Poison, these last 4 rounds has been an incredible difference maker for his team.
Wow.
And Zeno, who got those 4Ks to win the rounds, he's going to put TookTheKids in a terrible situation. Nearly unwinnable now. Trist, 30 seconds. 1 versus 4. Couple enemies softened up, but Poison's just going to put him in the dirt. Cal Keeg cements himself as the superior IGL over Mr. B, at least today, and Nocturnes take a much-needed 3 points.
Yeah, fully stealing that potential to one-up rent-free by TTK. They'll have to wait a little while longer, another week, to maybe claim that throne in Stage 2. Fantastic performance, though, by Nocturnes. They really have been reproving themselves once again. They were rather inconsistent at the beginning of this stage, but like I mentioned, it seemed like all the puzzle pieces have now fully fit together, and they're just playing off each other perfectly. We saw that against Rent-Free, and we're going to see it once again against TTK, except even better because this was pretty much a blowout. Again, there was round 1 as a win by TTK, and that was it. That was pretty much the only sort of resistance we saw by TTK altogether in this best-of-1 series.
And you know what's really cool for Nocturnes? Because of those 3 points, and specifically because it was a 7-1 victory, they now leapfrog 1 shot for 3rd.
Wow.
They're tied for points and lead 1 shot by 1 round in the differential. So, absolutely massive for Nocturnes. I mean, a bunch of us went TTK. Maybe there was a bit of recency bias there, but again, Nocturnes prove that we need to stop downing them. I mean, Poison has really turned this team into something that looks like they're going to be successful. And hey, if they keep this up for the remainder of this stage and into next stage, they could be a dark horse that we never expected to go to playoffs.
Yeah, no, if you told me that Nocturns and also TTK would be like a top 3 team right now, I would probably have to question you a little bit why, because a lot of the teams here in CL, they are capable of being in that spot, but I just really couldn't imagine that. But
Yeah.
as well, you couldn't probably imagine, Air of the Rise, for example, in 10s, but that's, a different story for another time. But I want to hear what the desk has to say. Again, we had a very 50-50 side as to who was going to win this matchup, and the desk leaning more towards Nocturnes. I'm sure they're happy with the results we just saw today.
No, the desk wasn't leaning towards Nocturnes. This guy right here, me, myself, and I was all in on Nocturnes, and you two doubted me. But we're not here to talk about me. We are here to talk about the matchup. Cookies, I'll start with you. Nocturnes has been around a while, and it's like battle forged, and here we are with this, I wouldn't say final product because we have a way to go, but there's something brewing here, and Xeno, as we see these replays, Xeno.
Yeah, well, you said they've been around a while. This iteration of the team has been around for like a month, okay? The Nocturnes name, the epic branding, has been around for a while. But this team is, you're right, I guess in the regard that, this team and Xeno, especially, oh my God.
Over a 2 rating, is that legal?
That's like the second time this weekend we had someone over a 2 rating. We had Silent yesterday, and then Xeno said, I'm better because this technically 2.12 is higher, whatever Silent had. Silent baited for some of his kills, but Xeno was in there like swimwear, baby. And unfortunately for TookTheKids, I guess, I wouldn't say they ran out of gas, because I've talked to Mr. B. He said it in chat. He said it to you, Brim, right? They're built for these long days. They're literally designed for it. I don't think that's something they felt like was a problem. They kind of just got outgunned. They got murked.
Yeah. Do you think, Tanner, it was just more of was it a taken by surprise aspect? Because something is like TTK, like, I think we were joking about this. Did they even get the chance to play poorly there?
I mean, in all likelihood, like, if they're playing another Challenge League team, like, they probably would have done fine there. Like, they didn't play particularly poorly. What I want to highlight is the fact that, Nocturnes just played exceptional. They played out of their minds. And specifically, you got Xeno going off and going 15 through the 2.12 rating. That's insane. Okay. But you got to also look at like Poison. Like, you could see he was doing really well on the IGLing side, where you could see the tempo changes. There were some times where, like, they're not just rushing into the site, they're seeing problems that are being presented to them on on their attacking half. When Nocturnes are like putting these problems in them, and Poison's just like, you know what? Let's take our time. Let's slow it down. They've got vertical holes on Kafe Kitchen. Let's go clear those. We got lots of clock left on the round. We can go clear that. And then the next time to go and attack, they do the same thing, but they pick up the pace. It's just a lot quicker, quick gameplay. And as a result, like, it's just like, how do you find your footing when the opponent is doing something different and dramatic every single time? C4 kill on the first defensive round, kind of setting the tone. The defense is not going to be any different. We're going to throw you curveballs, and it landed. And it was just like, Nocturnes put on a great showing, and everyone all the way down the list showed up. And then on the side of TTK, you got guys like Woos, and you got guys like Trist, who have combined 1 or 2 kills or 3 kills. I think the 3 kills between the two of them over 8 rounds. Like, that's just not. You're never going to win when 2 players aren't showing up like that. And we said best of ones. That's what you need to do.
Well, Nocturnes was in the driver's seat. I would say TTK, not even passengers. They were kind of like at the back of the bus, not even sure what stop was next. They're out there just trying to figure out what's going on. Unfortunately, they had to meet with the driver of the bus. That would be Papa P, Poison. We're going to give him a quick little interview right now. Poison, here we are again. I thought you guys had an impressive game yesterday. I don't know how many more kudos and accolades I can give you, but just walk us through this matchup today, because it was fast. Did you feel like you just played a game?
Yeah, it was just quick. Thanks for clicking. I mean, we kind of just figured out how they play. I mean, playing Mr. B's teams, like, Mr. B is pretty smart. They got solid teams, but like, it's always like TDM versus them. They're always like super aggressive, super wild. So like, doing like traditional takes on Kafe is sometimes hard. So like, kind of just got a little bit ghetto with it, got a little bit crazy, a little bit unpredictable, and everything was clicking. Because I think our team play has gotten a lot better recently. Like, we're just listening to calls. Like, even though like the calls were kind of just a little bit more like crazy again. Like, it was kind of just like, all right, we're just gonna walk in here and push here and just do this, and it's all working. clicking,
Was
so it was nice.
this an aggression to try to match or even beat theirs, or is this the way you'd like to see your team playing regularly?
I mean, they're kind of like sharks. Like, if like they like smell blood, so like the second they like know you're pushing somewhere, bro, they're just gonna come hunting you down. So if you just do like a flip push, like halfway through the round, you just flip to a different part of the map and just push that, then usually it's pretty free to push there. So that was kind of what we're going for.
Finally, we can't overlook it. We have to talk about it. Zeno, this guy, what was he, 15-3 by the end?
Yeah.
This was unbelievable play by him.
Hey, everyone on the team is talented. I mean, it was Xena's day to shine. Like we all trust each other. We all know we're good players. Like it's his day to play, and he came to play. So that's how it is.
Well, it was mightily impressive, Poison. Thank you so much for that performance, and good luck with the rest of your stage.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Wow. We literally thought we would be sitting here, guys, talking about TTK for the last 2 hours of the day, but man, I almost can't even remember their performance against One Shot because Nocturns have stolen the show at the end. CJ, we're gonna have the standings in just a moment, the updated standings. What are your thoughts on the day, or is it just Nocturns going over your head over and over again?
I'm gonna let you stop bouncing on Nocturns here, okay? Because
did you not just see that? Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, Nocturns is great. They're in a great spot when we see these standings. You're gonna see it's gonna blow your mind.
Oh.
But let's not like TTK still had a proper weekend, as Mr. British would say, a proper weekend. They're still number one.
Okay.
Adjust your sets. TTK is number one team in CL right now, rent free. Of course, they had a strong stage up to this point, a great comeback today. And yeah, Nocturnes is top 3 as well. But I'm not gonna let you just say. Look at what we're witnessing. Did you think a team with Gavini and Packer and Trist was gonna be number one at any point? Not me. But it's happened. It's almost like when Outlast was like, we did like a power ranking where Outlast last year was like the number one team or in the top tier. It's just crazy to me. And even Nocturnes, it's crazy that.
But let's
despite
not
their
forget,
injuries, man,
let's
they've
not
done
forget, and Tanner, I want to get you in on this as well. Look at like not just Nocturnes and TookTheKids, but we see West Garfield climbing up. We're seeing Aqualix climbing up, and slowly some of these other teams where we thought more was going to happen, it's just slipping away from them.
I mean, some of these teams are popping up. I do want to say one thing. I think there's an error on the standings. I think Rent Free actually have 16 points because I do believe they had a regulation win today.
So are you telling me my dreams aren't true?
Your dreams aren't true. I'm pretty sure Rent Free is still first place. TookTheKids, they needed a regulation win or an overtime win because of round differential to kind of leapfrog them there. Had they won at any point because of how well they performed in the previous game, they would have taken first place. But with that regulation loss, I believe TookTheKids is firmly in second place at this point. But to kind of go back to your point about LG and West Garfield Park and some of these teams are starting to show up. Like I said, there's lots of siege left. Like these standings in the first 2 weeks, we can't give them too much credit because we don't know where it'll end. LG just pulled out 2 regulation wins this weekend. You had a perfect weekend. You couldn't really ask for much from that. Our first place team in stage 1, we could see them in the top 2, top 3, come the end of the stage. They still have a lot of games left to play. I'm still looking forward. This is one of the best stages of Siege we had, especially when you start to see teams that historically have been dominant for over a year now, starting to be towards the bottom of the leaderboard. At this point, it's just I'm enjoying it. Like as someone who enjoys this game, Challenger League is finally fun for me to watch. And I'm excited. Like I'm excited for next week. I'm excited for all the plays. I'm excited that West Garfield have 2 back-to-back days next weekend. Like it's just going to be a great games.
Yeah, and let's not forget too, not only does it mean a lot for the standings in this stage alone, but for that playoff race overall. All of a sudden this picture got a lot more muddied up by these teams now saying, hey, we're not into one of those 4 playoff spots yet, but we're inching our way closer, and you've got to look out for some of these teams. So you alluded to next week. I'll throw it over to CJ. We'll talk about next week and what we can expect.
Well, you can expect more pandemonium because you've got the upswinging unemployment roster versus LG, who's trying to make their comeback. That's how we start off the day. That's going to be great. We're going to see if LSR is truly going to get buried for the stage, because I think if they lose to Nocturnes in that second game, that might be curtains for stage 2, and stage 3 will definitely be something they'll be looking forward to at that point. One Shot and Gladiators, the Quartz rematch versus, or double rematch, I guess at this point, versus his old team. I could go on and on. Aqualix Aerial. Is this the end of Aerial Arise, Forceful? Or are they going to lose to Gasher and that's it?
I mean, if you would have said this in stage 3, we would have laughed. But I mean, that's very much a reality. Aqualix have been looking good. Aerial has not been looking good. And then the last game, West Garfield versus Nocturnes, both of these teams demonstrated this weekend that they're on the up and up. I mean, that's probably going to be my game for the next Playday, the game of the day, just because of how competitive both of those rosters have been. I think that's going to be an exceptional game between those two teams.
Yeah, it's basically with how well they've been playing, who's going to give first, which one is going to slip up, start making mistakes, and which team is going to capitalize on those. Okay, long day, long weekend, a lot of crazy siege this weekend, but we're loving every minute of it. But we've got 3 more play days to go, and they will start next weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you in a week's time.